So, hi
Sorry?
everyone. I'm saying as usual, you're gonna kill the show. We're live now, anyways. Hi everybody. Very good morning to you. So Mike here once more from Berlin, Germany, and my co-host joining me all the way from Nigeria, as always. Today we have a very important topic which we're gonna like to address. And as always, we will see that we keep it right on point from the start. What are we going to be talking about today? The winter depression and why many, not just migrant actually, people in general struggle with winter in Europe. But the difference now is that if you were born in Europe, then you're already used to it. But if you're not, then it's a completely different situation that you would need some years to adjust to. And sadly, some people never fully adjust to it. Over to you, Michael. What are you looking forward to in today's show before we get started?
Yeah, Michael, when you good morning, everyone, our dear listeners, our dear viewers, the audience out there on all the different platforms. So I quickly tell you a story. When you first suggested this topic, I was like, what have we got to do with winter? I mean, Nigeria, Ghana,
Yeah.
Kenya and all that. So what have we got to do with winter? But it begins to make sense. I tell you this story very quickly. I was traveling to Jos, Plateau State, Nigeria. And I didn't know about the weather differences. Okay, and
Hmm.
so when I was traveling, I was putting on a very light t-shirt. Based on the weather of where I was coming from. I was coming from Benue State, and it was hot in Benue. So when I started getting approaching Plateau State, it started getting cold, and I was almost frozen because I didn't know about the realities of what the weather was like in Jos Plateau State because as compared to where I was coming from, which was hot. So
Yeah.
it begins to make sense because I was stranded. I was looking for where to hide. I couldn't ask the next person, please lend me your dress so I could cover myself and get some warmth. So and it also happened. So if you're traveling to Adamawa State in Nigeria, there's some will say Adamawa to hell is just about 15 naira. The transport fare is just like 15 naira. So this is why this very topic becomes very important. And I know you're going to be telling us a lot about it today because I'm in Nigeria. I don't know. I've never experienced winter in my life before. Over to you, Mike.
Yeah. The funny thing is what you experienced is right there in Nigeria, within the country, and you did not even know about the difference, or at least you didn't pay a lot of attention to it. How much more for someone who is crossing border to the next country, to a completely new continent in
Yeah,
general. So and that's really
yeah,
the reality, that's where it hits you. But beyond the physical cause that you feel, I think the other part is actually the psychological part, like how it literally affects your standard of living, your productivity, like essentially what you're able to do in this period. Um, Somehow, for me, over time, winter has become my more productive phase, my more productive season. It's like all summer, I'm mostly chilling, and winter, that's really when I'm grinding. But for other people, it's not really the case. My co-host left, and now you're back. So did you get what I was saying before you left?
yeah. I got you. I got you. I got you.
Yeah. So, but the key thing now is how to understand the different seasons and be intentional about it and prepare for it. So, first thing first, why is it that um, migrants struggle in winter? The first and foremost thing is this. I mean, the way the weather changes, the sun goes down literally by 4 p.m. Sometimes 3:30, it's already going down. And then it's like just half of the day, but then it's getting dark already. So much so that sometimes by 5:30, it is completely dark. Just that alone can be mentally disturbing, especially if you're someone who arranges yourself with the brightness of the day and not with the real clock, not with time. Your orientation is around how bright the day is and not regarding the time. The sad thing now is every appointment will still hold. Oh, I see that stuff is troubling you. Sorry.
Yeah,
Every appointment will still hold. Anything that you have to do is still going to happen. You have to show up at work in time, leave when you're supposed to, but not earlier. Like, it doesn't matter what the weather looks like. everything is still going to happen. Now the problem is how you used to act at a different season versus this season. So from the point of output, there is no expectation in change in output. You're still supposed to provide the same result, but then the conditions are not necessarily the same anymore. And I think the toughest part would be for people. Well, it depends. Logically, if you come into Germany or other very tough winter parts of Europe, if you come in the summer and slowly get into winter, it's kind of easier. But if you just land in the heart of winter, like in my case back in 2014 when I came in November, straight up, it's like I arrived at the airport. Usually, when you fly from Nigeria to Germany, you most times they're like overnight flights. So you take off at 10 p.m. in Nigeria, in Lagos, Abuja, and then you arrive in Germany usually in the morning at 7. So when you arrive in the morning, it's still daylight, but then of course it's cold, windy, and stuff. Towards midday, the sun is already going down slowly, and then at 3, you can't. It's you start seeing that it's getting dark, and then at 4, 4:30, that's it. But then your day was just started, and your mindset, your how you're wired, it's different. So you're already beginning to think about going to bed because that's the only logical thing to do. So that's kind of how it works, and then that's the sad part, and that's where everything begins to just go down from that point.
So now, I just from your experience, I don't know, going to work at night or or showing up at work at night. It's already like from what I understand, 8:30 a.m. It's already the sun is rising. 8:39, and then by 3:30 it's getting dark, and you're still expected to work. It's already like back in your country, like in African countries, by 5 p.m. you're already closing. And when it's dark, we only go to party or rest or sleep or do some other stuff. And then Europe is already getting dark. And work is just starting. How did you get yourself used to this new reality? And for someone like you, who entered at the peak of the season, I think it starts around November, December to February or January. There, what?
Yeah. So the first thing is the mental preparation to know that what do you have to do in this period, and understanding that your activities are not dependent on the brightness of the day. Your activities rotate around time and commitment, expectations. So just
Mm.
having that first and foremost. Of course, there's the biological aspect of it. With sunlight, the body is more vibrant. There's vitamin D as well, which keeps you also active, and a whole other things that just go around the biological aspect. Then there's also how the body feels too. So you generally feel more cold, and when you feel cold, you feel weak. So you should find a way to balance that, and that means being active, because by default you will not really be active. So this would be a good time for someone to be maybe active in the gym, or some time for you to go run, because you need to keep your body active, have some heat inside for your mental mindset as well. So in for me, it wasn't easy the first couple of years for sure. It's like winter was always the worst time for me. And I remember after classes, sometimes the lectures are still going on by 3, and it's going down already by 4. You come out of class by 5 or 6, it is completely dark. Then I wouldn't know how to find my way to the bus stop or to the train stop. And I would just be asking friends. Yo, it was really depressing then, you know. Um, but then the beautiful part also is when you go outside, maybe when it snows, you see the snow and then the nice Christmas lights. So that also looks beautiful. But then you only enjoy these in company of other people. Sadly, if you're new here, you probably have not made a lot of friends. And even if you've made some friends, the way the friends work and their schedule might not be exactly yours. So you find yourself in many cases kind of alone because people already have plans. So your only saving grace, in my opinion, would be that you also be intentional about the kind of plans you make. So answering your question, the key thing is to understand the season and know that you have to do something proactively, you know. So and it's about finding these tips and measures, but most importantly, connecting with people, because that's really what's going to keep you going this season. It's not a time for you to be alone. Not to forget, it's seasonal period. So you feel the vibe of the season even from home, because people talking about everything happening in this period, Christmas and all the festivities. You also feel the same here physically as well. So if you're now alone and there are no kind of measures for you to interact with people, then that can be very depressing. Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about because I was about to talk about the social side of things. You have fewer hours to be active, in
Yeah.
quotes, because
Hmm.
I don't know, fewer hours. Everything must have to be done within this short period of between, let me say, 9 to 3 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so how do you now begin to like congest everything, squeeze everything into this tiny space?
But you
Now,
don't
or do
have
you
to.
guys
That's
go out at night
no,
and like, yeah, go on, please.
no, that's the point. You don't have to like still live your life normally. 24 hours is still 24 hours. You don't have to go to bed at 6 p.m. or at 7 p.m. No, because that's where the loneliness begins. Because you feel like it's 6, it's dark, so you should be in bed. No. So life still goes on normally. The only difference is that yes, it's dark, it's cold. The interesting thing is it's in winter seasons that most clubs and bars are fullest. Why? Because it's cold outside and you don't want to stay indoor. So the only place you go to is you go not outdoor, but then you go to like entertain yourself in a closed space, right? So bars are mostly full in winter period. Clubs are mostly full in winter period. Like most activities are happening in this time, but always in like closed space. So my point being, you don't have to go to bed early. No, that's not a sign for you to go to bed early. It's not a sign for you to compact everything. Still live your normal 24 hours as you would. You know, you wake up in time, do the stuff that you have to do your work, go out to meet with friends. Very importantly, that you dress the part, because you'll be surprised that sometimes you might leave the house, it's not as cold as you think, but coming back later at night, it gets really cold. And then you start thinking, why am I in this country? Like, who told me to come here and stuff? Literally. So, um,
Okay, now,
so
Michael,
yeah, go
excuse
on.
me, please. Now, in terms of, because I do want to believe this must have to affect income. I mean, income earnings at some point. Does it have any effect on one's earnings?
What do you think? Why should it? How? Why and how should it? Let me put that question back to you.
Okay, for instance, now, if I am into agriculture, now there is what is it called? There is snow all over the place, which is definitely going to affect cropping to an extent. Or
Mm-hmm.
there are certain crops that you can't farm at this period of time,
Yeah.
or even if you have it, the activity level and all of that. So, or for someone who is into, I wanted to also say, darkness, the sleep hormone is sensitive to darkness. So
That's
once there
right.
is darkness, there is always this tendency of feeling sleepy. So which
100%.
means I also understand that this period also affects activeness, generally speaking, because you have to
It
keep being
does.
intentional about trying to stay active. So these are my reasons for saying, doesn't it have effect on earnings?
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, for sure it does, right? Because practically speaking, regarding farmers, if you're a farmer in Europe, then you already know the different seasons, and so you will prepare for the different seasons. If it does affect you, then I guess you probably did not take precautions. My point being, for businesses that happen all year round, they know the different seasons and they usually will prepare for them. So that kind of just balances itself out. There could be some
Not
unforeseen
like
situations. Which, yeah, go on then.
no, like, for instance, that is what I mean. Like if you're in Nigeria or you're in Plateau State, the very cold state in Nigeria, there are seasons where these guys we call Meshai, who makes tea and coffee. There are seasons where
Hmm.
they make their greatest sales. And for
That's
you
right.
who is into certain trade, is an off season
That's
for
right.
you. Like if you are
That's right.
into sale of clothing, you sell more of things like this, cardigan and
Yeah.
dresses that keep you warm. at this
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
for the other
Yeah.
guys, if you're into stuff like bikinis and all that, it means there's going to be a drop in sales for you. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
this is all these
I like
variations. I don't know
I
how
like
it
where
is
this
managed over there.
conversation is going. I like it because now we're changing it from struggles to opportunity. And I really like that
Yeah, yeah.
because there are certain things that happen in this period. And if you would pay attention to it, you can actually key into these things. Yeah, so there are some businesses that thrive the most in winter. uh, Clubs, bars, entertainment, anything entertainment, they really thrive in winter. Why? Because there are not a lot of outdoor activities happening. So people that have a way to bring people together, in a closed environment,
Supposed to.
they really thrive. Their businesses thrive a lot in winter. And now, when we think about the migrant community more specifically, this can be an excellent opportunity, especially the examples that you mentioned now, mashai, tea, coffee, and stuff. Imagine being able to put together some of these kind of local beverages in winter period for migrants who are from these locations. Think about a Nigerian person just establishing some kind of aboki stand somewhere and just serving
Yeah.
serving these nice things that you would have maybe in Hamatan or like the dry season in Nigeria, and just creating that vibe. So you will turn this struggle into an excellent opportunity. Why? Because you bring a community of people together, they can taste and do stuff that they would normally do back home together, and they still feel that connection back home because one common thing among in the season is the cold, right? But then you're still having that kind of experience which you would normally have back home. So definitely some business thrive, and then others it's not like the best time for them. Especially if you're someone who you have more outdoor business. People are not saying outdoor this period. People are more indoors. So there are some businesses that close in winter seasons, like parks and stuff. They are completely closed in winter season. But I guess my point here would be, yes, what are those key things that you can do in the winter season that would make you thrive? And um, you do not say, be a victim of the winter depression that happens, you know? Yeah, so that's what I think. And then furthermore from that, I think the most important thing is just really appreciating that yes, the weather is it's different. You don't feel okay. You feel a bit more like sleepy. When you go out, you want to come back as early as possible. But then life still goes on because the moment you start thinking that you need to not do certain things because it's winter, then that's when you start feeling completely differently, and that's when your productivity is now being affected. But if you understand that this is just a phase, and you simply have to adjust to that phase and be intentional about some things that you do, and it really changes everything. Yeah.
Okay, now let me come in place. Michael, I understand that this thing is more severe in Northern Europe and parts of Central Europe, like Germany, and not like Poland,
Yeah.
and by extension, Russia and all that, and Ukraine. So, are the surrounding countries. Now, you are in the center, Central Europe, Germany, and all the rest, the Scandinavia countries. How how do you manage? How do you get deal with these things? Because it's much severe. They say even in terms of the snow, because we see the streets covered with snow sometimes, and they need to use equipment to come and scrape the road. When you first
Yeah.
got to Germany, did you experience something like this? You wanted to go and then the entire road is filled up with snow, nowhere to pass. They say
Yeah.
sometimes you're in your room and the door is already locked. You can't open the door, or your car, you park your car, is covered with snow. You can't get into your car. Did you get all of these experiences?
Yeah. So 10 years ago here in Germany, you see snow a lot, especially if you are down south, a bit more towards the middle, and of course even up north in Germany. I like snow. I like to see it. For me, if I don't see snow in winter, it's like that's no winter, So I did experience all that, but interestingly, now you don't see snow very often in Germany as before, and that's where you actually see that global warming is real. Because for me, just in the space of 10 years, I can actually tell the difference between how it felt 10 years ago and now. Then
Mm,
it was quite common to have snow in winter and on Christmas season. But now
mm,
sometimes some seasons you may not see the snow at all. But that's
mm,
mostly Germany. When you go up north, the Scandinavian country, it's a completely different story. There, most part of the years, they it's way more cold than it's warm, and they have like less sunlight in most part of the year. So, meaning most part of the year is cold, not not enough sunlight, and but life still goes on, you know, and the whole experience of maybe coming out your your car, you can't get into your car because it's like frozen. That's true. And now imagine someone who is not used to the seasoning. You get a really nice car, you park it outside without the precautions that you normally should, like closing the front uh the front glass, like the screen in the front, or some it depends on where you live. So there are always measures to protect yourself. And if you don't do this, you come out and you can't get into your car, or it's like you can't drive because it's either the engine is too cold or there's ice all over it and you just can't do anything. So it does happen. Or sometimes you go out in the street, it's like full of snow. But then it's a country that knows this and there are already measures to take care of it. The other side is some people, they think the snow is very dirty. They don't like it because it really makes the streets dirty, especially when it start melting, you know, because then it changes from white to very muddy colors, and then it doesn't look so nice anymore. But yeah, you find all these things. In Germany, of course, way less than you would find it in the Scandinavian countries. You're muted, Mike. I can't hear you.
no, like for some of us who are like a new migrant who just got into the state or country, I was wondering if there is any kind of orientation where people tell you about the different seasons and what to do. Is there any form of orientation where you get into the country at first to let you
Oh,
know of these realities
um,
and what to expect?
official orientation. I'm not sure if anyone gives any official orientation. I guess it's part of what we are doing right now, informing people, preparing their minds towards it. But um, it depends on what you're doing in Germany and when you come, how you come. Maybe there's some programs that would tell you stuff about winter, but it's just it's just a normal part of everyday life. So I don't think there's some orientation about that. But people will advise you, of course, close friends, maybe classmates, work colleagues, especially how to dress. That's really important, tell you to dress properly, and then use something around your neck so you don't catch cold. But other things that you're going to learn would always be specific to what you're doing. For example, if you would take driving classes, they will tell you what kind of tires to use in winter season, how to protect your cars and stuff like that. But general orientation about prepare for winter, the best you can get is what we are doing right now. you know? And I guess that's also why settling exists, because there are some of these loopholes that no one would tell you about these things ordinarily, right? So you only learn from other people that have experienced it, or like what we're doing right now. But to say some special government program to just inform people about winter, maybe they exist. I haven't experienced any before, but I imagine since it's something very common, that it's common on one hand because it's happening seasonally, um, but then common not in the sense that everyone knows what to do and how to prepare for it. And of course, this whole depression aspect, that it's a real thing, that people can um, think about ways to manage it, because it's simply all about information. If you have the right information, then you know how to act in this season, and most importantly, how to flip the condition from being a depressing condition to something more vibrant, because cold exists everywhere. The level of cold, of course, different, but if you have the right information, how to dress, activities to engage in, what to do, and so on, then it also becomes a normal situation over time, hopefully.
Okay, okay, okay. So, Michael, I wanted this. Can you let us know this? I'm a new migrant. I'm about to travel to Europe. I think is it important for me to ask the question or to know because based on what I said earlier, yes, there's some winter in almost all parts of Europe at this time, but again, it is severe, more severe in some places because I said the southern part like Spain, Italy, Greece, and all that, that it's less severe. It's not as severe as
Mhm,
northern Europe in particular, and western and parts of central. So,
mhm.
with this in mind, if I get to ask this question first of all, please advise me what are the things that I should do to help my settling in, to help me settle in seamlessly if I am to travel to Europe.
Well, the first logical thing is to sign up on Settling. I guess so. Sign up on Settling to get information because, um, yeah, maybe you might know someone in Europe that will advise you, but the thing is, people only tell you what they know, and people are also biased in that in what they tell you. They tell you not only what they know, but what they also feel you should know, and plus they take it to the next level and kind of judge your capacity, whatever that might mean for them. My point being, uh, think about sources that you can get unbiased information, and that's what we're building at Settling. You know, it's a platform that is free. Anyone can use it to connect with people, and then very importantly, that you have enough information to make the right decision. But that being aside, the other thing is to understand that hey, there is a structure, there's a system, and things work around these structures and these systems. Things do not work around how you feel, what you think, or what's happening to you. Of course, you're being considered, but first and foremost is the system and the structure in place. So I think my answer to that would be that you understand the system in place, understand the structure, and understand the expectation. And it depends on you what you're doing. Are you a student? Are you a professional who's working in some company? Are you a family man? So there are different profiles that you have as an individual. So how you will go about it really depends on that. If you're someone who is a professional, you work in a certain company, now you have to follow the rules and guidelines of the company. You know, there's your contract and how you're supposed to work, what to do, and so on. That should be the guiding principle, and then every other thing falls around it. Because if you do it the other way around, then you will, yeah, you might be in trouble, so to speak. And if you're a student, then you have to understand, um, your course content, what you have to study, the minimum credit point you have to make per semester. So these will be the things guiding you, so to speak. My point being, having the general information, things to expect, but more importantly, what is your purpose for being here, and how do you ensure you keep good track of that? Yeah. So I think we can already run it up now. It's 28 minutes already into the show. And the key focus here, I think it's understanding that yes, migrants they struggle in winter season. It's it's a fact, but you can change this from a struggle to opportunity once you identify the key things that you are supposed to do in this period. If you're coming from Africa or other parts of the world where there's usually more sunlight than less sunlight, or where it's usually warmer than cold, then you need to understand that it's not going to be exactly the same situation as where you come from. But that being aside, life still goes on. It does not mean that in winter you should shut down. No, you don't. You should not hibernate in winter only to surface in summer. No. If you arrive in Germany in summer, spring, everything feels really vibrant, but it's not always the case all year round. And for those who arrive in winter, I know it's going to be a big shock, but then um, just know that life still goes on, and you have to think about proactive measures to, yeah, live up to the standard for yourself, of course.
So,
Yeah.
please, is that a good time, in your own opinion, is it a good time to travel to Germany or to Europe? When is the best time to travel to Germany? Is it the winter, the summer, or autumn, whatever? What is the best time to
Mm.
travel to, in your opinion, if you were to choose? in between
Yeah.
for one of these seasons, which would you choose?
Um, I would go with spring. If I were to choose, I would come in spring because in spring it's like the winter is just finishing. The sun starts to shine. The flowers are blossoming. It's getting more green. So it's not super hot. It's still a bit cold, but you see the sunlight most time of the day. So you feel it's Europe because it's not as warm as where you come from, but you still see the sunlight and you're seeing the beautiful flowers and stuff. And then gradually that peaks into summer when you get like super hot. Then it feels like where you most likely come from a tropical country. And from there, it gets gradually into autumn where things start going down. So it's not happening overnight. You experience it. But the funny thing is, even when you experience this for the first time, it's still a shock. How season changes. But then at least it's happening gradually. So from there, it now goes down to winter, where it really, really gets dark, and then it continues again. So I would recommend if you can, then come around spring. So which is usually towards end of February, beginning of March through April. So March will be like the right time to come. But of course, there is no right time. It all depends on you. But this would be my recommendation. But sadly, you in most cases you don't choose when you come. If you're coming as a student, then you are resuming in winter semester or in summer semester. So that's what determines when you come. If you are
Yeah,
coming on a job visa, you come when your contract begins and so on.
I think that takes us to what I wanted to say earlier. You don't choose when to come. When to come chooses you. you know,
Mhm.
you don't choose when to come. When to come chooses you. So, I think this will make a very good topic for another day. And also, I wanted to say that from what I gather, this is about the most beautiful time of the year with all the Christmas lights. The streets are well lit. Decorations. Even if you come to homes, the ambience that welcomes you and all that. So that's the beautiful side of winter too. Have you got something to say about that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, winter is my favorite season, definitely. If I had to choose, winter is my favorite season. Why? Because I move a lot faster in winter because most other people are moving slower, and that's
Yeah.
the trick for me. Because most people are moving very slow, and I move a lot faster. I get a lot of things done more in winter than in summer. Summer is full of lots of distractions. So winter keeps me more home, a bit more focused, and I get to do a lot of things because the nights is usually longer, so you sleep a bit better. You wake up earlier, and you have kind of more hours to work in winter. For me, though, but other people would think the reverse. Summer, it's a bit more distracting for me because the daylight goes a bit too long, and then you don't know when it's time to go to bed and stuff. Not to mention lots of the activities happening that you feel like you have to be at all of them. So my favorite season for sure is winter, and not to mention Christmas. Already beginning from November, the streets towards the middle of November, end of November, like right now, streets well lit, lights all over here, all over the place. And then it's like there's the Christmas market, which makes you feel like, oh, it's always going to be like this, but it's not always going to be like that. Nice food, drinks, and stuff. Um, and just that vibe of rounding up the year and getting into the next year, just being charged and pumped up for what next you're going to do. So, and not to mention, it's the holiday season. You get to meet more people. People are working a bit less, so there's more time to hang out and stuff. So, yeah, winter for sure for me is my favorite season. And when it snows, it's also beautiful too. You can do a lot of things outside.
And just to also mention that we like to see those pictures of the snow when you go to Europe. Well, those of us back at home, we like those snowy backgrounds, and it's really a beauty to behold. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
100%.
someone was asking me
100%.
the other day. He said, "I always watch your program, and I don't know if you guys can support us in handling our admission processes and then subsequent
Mhm.
trip to Europe. So how far can you go with it? Can you please, maybe for our audience who are watching, can you tell us more on this? Because people are asking, they say they don't know trustworthy agents who can handle their program to travel abroad. I think 1 to 3 persons have already contacted me, and
Mm.
it does appear they don't know really what settling is about still. Can you please give us a rundown of that quickly?
Yeah. So right now, of course, setting is not there where we are building it to be, and that's why we are still building, and we will always be building because it's never going to stop. You know, it's a continuous project. But the first thing would be to sign up on Settling. And right now, you can make a post and ask your question, what you're looking for, and then you get answers from the community, from verified vendors. So what we are doing genuinely is ensuring that we build the features that people who provide relevant services to study abroad or to work abroad that you can find them on Settling. So our job is to also verify these people that they are trustworthy agents, trustworthy service providers. But even beyond verifying them, the party that you're trusting is Settling. Why? Because for every paid transaction which happens on Settling, we protect you as a buyer because you are someone who's seeking service. We connect you with a trusted vendor, and we ensure that if you request a service from them, that this will be provided satisfactorily before any transaction is completed. So there are already some measures to ensure your protection as a user on Settling. What we do recommend is first taking the time to read and understand the information that is provided to you, and then before taking any action. So the first step would be signing up on Settling, making some inquiries, and now connecting to some of these verified vendors. Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. So, me to conclude, I would say, like my colleague Roger in Berlin have said, the system is structured, and it's not meant to appeal to your emotion. You have to get yourself to work around the system and the structures of where you're traveling to, be it Germany or Italy or wherever you're traveling to. So you have to know what is obtainable, and if it is a workplace, they have their internal policies. If it's a school, they also have their policies and guidelines. You have to know what works there and they try to adapt. Michael, your final words for today.
So, winter is depressing by default, but you can change that depression to something more innovative for yourself. You can change that into an opportunity. There are lots of loopholes to look around in winter. So think about the other side. Try to flip the coin and see what can you do in the winter season. But the reality is, it's a depressing season, and many migrants struggle with it. But that does not mean that's the only thing that is obtainable. No, you can flip things around and actually enjoy winter and make it your best season. The key thing is to be proactive, connect with people, and yeah, listen to our podcast, and we will tell you all the good stuff. So that would be it for this Saturday, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if you have questions, leave them wherever you're watching this from. But very importantly, sign up on Settling, and let's see you there soon. And we keep building that space where everyone feels safe about migration, where everyone feels safe about accessing global opportunities. Cheers, everyone.
All right, bye everyone.